Hey there. Do you like going to museums? Do you have posters or copies of famous art on your walls? Today we're talking about a Dutch painter named Vincent van Gogh. Let's take a look.
English without fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
I've always liked Van Gogh's work, and today I chose one of his paintings that is a self-portrait. That means it's a painting of himself that Van Gogh did. Well, what do you notice when you look at his self-portrait? Right off the bat, right at first, you notice a white bandage that goes from his hat down the side of his chin on his right side. That is central to his painting. Once you look at his face, that's the first thing you see. What I find interesting is that the artist, Van Gogh, is not ashamed. He's not trying to hide something wrong with him. That bandage is very visible. He could have chosen to paint a different side of his face, but on purpose, he deliberately shows us the side with the bandaged ear down to his chin. What else do you notice by looking at the painting? Well, he's wearing a warm cap, a winter cap, and you can tell he's got on a coat. So I would imagine that it's wintertime. That's the season that he painted the picture. Just where is he in this painting? Where does he paint himself? There's a white canvas on a wooden easel. An easel is a framework, a stand on which to place the canvas where you paint. And then you can see a door or a window off to the right and a painting hanging on the wall. So he's inside his studio. What else do we notice? I have a question for you. Why is he wearing a winter hat and a coat inside his studio? He was poor. And because he was poor, he didn't have hardly any money. He could not pay for wood or coal to put in his fireplace and heat up the studio. So in the winter, it was really cold inside as well as outside, and he painted with his hat and his coat on. Well, why was he poor? Vincent van Gogh had always been artistic. He had drawn and painted all his life. But we know his works, his paintings, from the last 9 years of his life. He painted, he produced, he created so much art. He must not have been sleeping or eating. He painted and painted and painted. But what's really sad is that he never became famous in his lifetime. It was only at the end of his life that he actually sold one painting, that he actually had paintings chosen, selected for an art exhibit, and he only sold one painting. He had a brother named Theo, and Theo was a good, loving brother. Theo gave him money so he could live, but he didn't have money for wood or for coal, and he probably didn't eat very much. What about this bandage? What do we know? Gauguin was another artist. Gauguin, Paul Gauguin, a friend of Van Gogh. And one day they got into a terrible, really horrible argument. And Van Gogh took a razor blade. You know, those are really sharp. He took a razor blade. He didn't cut Gauguin, he cut himself. He cut his ear off. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. That must have hurt. And of course, he probably didn't go to a doctor. But I did read, actually, he probably did. I did read that he had been depressed a lot during his life, and Gauguin, I don't know how he got to a mental hospital, but he got put into a hospital for crazy people, what we would call a psychiatric hospital or a mental hospital, and he stayed there for almost a year. But this is back in the late 1800s. He died in 1890, and back then there was not a whole lot of medical or psychiatric help for mentally ill patients. I don't know what they could have done to help him. He eventually got out of the mental hospital, but he wasn't a healthy man. He didn't eat right. He probably didn't sleep. He painted and painted and painted like a crazy man. I don't know why he got into such an argument with his friend Gauguin. Gauguin was popular. He was selling paintings. Maybe Van Gogh was jealous. I don't know. But what is sad is that a couple years later, after the ear incident, the ear accident, he shot himself in the stomach with a pistol. He committed suicide and died 2 days later. What a tragic life. He did not have any hope. He thought probably that he was a failure. But he became famous after his death. He became super famous. And his paintings have been sold for the highest price. It's sad when we lose hope. And suicide, killing yourself, is really tragic. Today, in 2022, many people, unfortunately, sadly, are without hope and very depressed, and some are killing themselves. But there is hope out there, and his name is Jesus Christ. He came. He's the Savior of the world. He lived and died for us so that whoever turns to him and asks for help and invites him in to be in charge of their lives, he gives hope and supernatural power, and he promises life forever with him. So yes, if you're depressed and you're feeling hopeless, please go get some counseling. Please go see a doctor. There are medicines that can help you feel better, but don't forget, don't neglect Jesus Christ. Find out about him. Ask somebody who you think might be a Christian to tell you the good news of Jesus Christ, who came, who lived, who died to give us hope. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm Maria from English Without Fear. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching. For questions or comments, here is my email